Radie, thanks very much for coming into the archive today. You're very welcome. We're delighted to have you for this edition of Drawn from the Well.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
It's nice to be back.
Yeah, good to have you, and especially in this time of COVID and all that comes with it. It's we're delighted to have some music. Great to hear you singing some songs in the archive today.
Thanks. It's nice to be able to sing songs for people in an actual room. Yeah, it's been a while.
And wasn't that the first time you sang in here back in 2012? I think late 2012 and early 2013. You did the group you're in, of course, Lankum. You did the recordings for your album Cold Old Fire here.
Yeah, and that was our very first album, and we had basically no idea what we were doing, and we got a debt recording grant. Actually, it's the only way we could do it, and we recorded in the basement here. Actually, so I'm kind of I'm better acquainted with your basement here than all of the books here. But I have come in through the years to try kind of get some new songs a lot of the time, and just kind of like come across new stuff. Where have you been all the long summer's day? Son, come tell it unto me. I've been haunting and felling all the long old day, and it's Mama, pardon me, oh, and it's Mama, pardon me. Oh, and what put the blood on your...
We invited you for this Drawn from the Well, and we're very delighted that you accepted. And so you came in to do some research, and there was a few different ideas you were kind of
I remember you asked
exploring.
me, what are you into? And I gave you a list of like a crazily long list. But we kind of ended up talking like a lot about Mary Delaney, and then we started talking a lot about What Put the Blood, that song, which actually we recorded in the basement here. And we ended up kind of landing on certain songs that, because sometimes I'll be really drawn to songs. It's always about the story for me, and sometimes when there's kind of like bits of the story missing or it's quite mysterious, I'm even more drawn to them, and it was kind of like setting about seeing maybe where the songs had come from, and was there something to be discovered going back and doing the research around all the other versions that could fill in blanks basically, or fill in gaps and narratives.
Yeah, and that kind of led us down the road that you've been exploring for the last couple of months.
Yeah.
And
darker and more devious than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
That is the blood of my youngest brother, that I killed most brutally. That I killed most
we were talking about different versions of it and talking about the potential meaning of, in What Put the Blood, of this line about the cutting of a rod. And
to give a bit of background, maybe, like, so it's a song about It's a mother questioning her son, and then he finally admits that he's killed his brother, which is, obviously like a kind of a really horrific thing to have done. And the reason he gives is that they basically had a row about the cutting of a rod. And I always just, as soon as I heard that line, I was like, what? That doesn't make sense. That there has to be more to that, or that means something else that I'm not understanding, or like there's a verse missing, and it's kind of funny because whenever you're singing the song, you're really trying to get into the story of it, but it can be a bit kind of like you don't know the story of it though.
Yeah, and so then we started looking into people who had written about the songs and different collectors and their thoughts and the kind of opinions that they had collected from the singers themselves and all the different possible meanings. And through all these different sources, people have kind of deduced in What Put the Blood, or also as it's known in the world of ballads, Edward, in the Child Ballad collection, they've deduced this potential dark meaning, which maybe you'd like to discuss a bit.
I found that interesting as well, that the kind of the key to discovering basically this hidden meaning in it is that you have to put it alongside Edward and Lizzie Wan, the other. Now Lizzie Wan is the most vicious murder ballad like I think I've ever seen, and like by looking at them, because they are really closely related, and to look at them together, there was kind of motifs of incest suggested as the reason for the murder in What But the Blood. I found that quite, like I really wouldn't have expected that, because usually like if there's something hidden, it's usually to do with like an unwanted pregnancy or something like that, so I was kind of surprised by that, and that they were kind of positing that the cutting of a rod was referring to a very young girl in one of the theories, which is, that's very disturbing, and theories was kind of saying it might have been their sister, and so that kind of really went darker than I expected there. And honestly, I don't like imagining that meaning when I sing the song, because it's actually just a little bit too dark even for me.
Another song then with potential subtext, well actually in some versions quite clearly spelled out, is that you've sang for us today, has numerous names and numerous versions, but the versions you sang today are The Young Girl Cut Down Her Prime and The Bad Girl, or The Bad Girl's Lament. And so what kind of maybe drew you to those songs in the first place? How did you come to learn two versions of a song which is seem to be connected?
I think I might have learned The Bad Girl's Lament first, and again this is a common theme with me. It's that like there's a really dark theme in the song. Someone's dying, she's saying she's going to hell. The fact that it's a female character saying she's going to hell, and that again you're kind of going, you're like, why are you dying, why are you going to hell? Because it's just not in the song itself, One morning in May, I saw some fair lady all wrapped in white When I was a young girl, I used to seek pleasure. When I was a young girl, I used to drink ale right out of the alehouse and into the jailhouse, right out of the barroom and into my grave. But I found it really interesting that like all of the mention of syphilis just kept like it started getting knocked out of the song, you know, because people obviously didn't find it palatable. But then the further back you go, it's really explicit. Come sit you down by me and pity my case. My poor head is aching, my sad heart is breaking, my body's salvating, and I'm bound to go send for the preacher to come and pray for me. Go send for the doctor to heal all my wounds. My poor heart is aching, my sad heart is breaking, my body's salvating, and hell is my doom.
Texas Gladden, who I believe is kind of like your version of the bad girl or the bad girl's
the
lament,
original source, I think.
relates back to her. And there's an interview done with her by Alan Lomax where she says that she said, I had several songs that I wouldn't record. And I was like, wow, well, you recorded this song about the person dying of syphilis.
Yeah.
It's like, what are the songs that you're not
what
willing
are the
to
other
sing?
ones? Exactly, like. And then there was a note in one of the books about Sarah Cleveland,
Yeah.
basically saying that her ballad that involves incest, like she basically only sang it for the song collectors, and that like she didn't like singing it. And you know what I mean, that you'd wonder how many songs. Yeah, because like when you think about it, the song collectors were just these strangers arriving at people's houses being like, sing me your songs. Like there must have been loads of stuff people wouldn't sing. I bet you there was loads of like weird joke songs as well, like dodgy joke songs that people just were like, oh no, we won't show them, you know.
Yeah, and that shows us then how communities or even individual singers can kind of play a role and have an effect on the transmission of these songs down over the years, and how themes like what we've discussed in What Put the Blood and themes in Younger Cut Down Our Prime can be kind of codified or even potentially lost over time.
Who should I spy but my own darling daughter, wrapped up in white flannel and cold as the clay? Beat the drums lowly and play the five merrily, sound the dead march as you bear me along. Into my grave throw a handful of roses, and there goes a blooming girl to her last home. Mother, oh mother, come sit you down side of me, sit you down side of me, pity my fate. It's of a young fellow who lately deserted me, see how he's brought me to shame and disgrace. Beat the drums lowly and play the five merrily, sound the dead march as you bear me along. Into my grave throw a handful of roses, and there goes a blooming girl to her last home. Daughter, oh daughter, why hadn't you told me? Why hadn't you told me we'd have took it in time? I could have got pills or salts of white mercury. Now you're a young girl cut down in your prime. Beat the drums lowly and play the five merrily, sound the dead march as you bear me along. Into my grave throw a handful of roses, and there goes a blooming girl to her last home. Send for the clergyman for to pray over me, send for the clergyman ere it's too late. Send for that young man who lately deserted me, bid him come to me and pity my fate. Beat the drums lowly and play the five merrily, sound the dead march as you bear me along. Into my grave throw a handful of roses, and there goes a blooming girl to her last home. So I'm going to sing a song. It's called Love Henry, and it's actually the same song that Nick Cave and PJ Harvey, the song they sing, Henry Lee, is like they wrote a version of this, or I think Nick Cave wrote a version of this. And this is, so it's sometimes called Henry Lee. It's also sometimes called Young Hunting.
Men are often the, might say, kind of dominant characters in the ballads, that if they're, and women are often, more often than not, victims to women or to men for one reason or another. But this ballad you sing and was looking into kind of subverts that.
Yeah, it's probably part of the reason I like it, because as I was saying, like I just like I have looked a lot into murder ballads, and in pretty much all of them it's men murdering women. So I did find this one really interesting when I was like, that, you know, it's the opposite. But also it's a really vicious one. It's not like there's she's actually really quite cruel. And when you're talking about like how singers can influence the transmissions of songs as well, like this is definitely an example of me. Like I took a song as a starting point, and I've changed it a lot. I've changed it to be more what I wanted it to be, because the original version I had this like reference to, it was like there's a lady 10 times fairer than you waiting in Lord Barnett's hall, and I just felt like it was I don't know, it just took me out of the mood when I was listening to it, because it sounded a bit antiquated, and that he was a lord and stuff. So I changed it, and I kind of merged it with this other version that Peggy Seeger had sang, and then just completely changed other parts of it. And then I changed the melody. Part of it is the same, and then it just kind of goes off somewhere else. But yeah, so if anyone ever heard this version and then thought I'd gotten it from whoever, and then thought, you know what I mean, that's how things can, I suppose, get changed, and you'll never know where they came from.
Yeah, but that demonstrates the kind of again, the role of a singer within the tradition and the impact they can have, and how it also demonstrates that the things we're not talking about aren't just like things that happened 100 years ago. These processes in traditional music and folk music are still active, and you kind of shaping a song to your liking, then maybe the next generation somebody might take your version, so we can see that the process continues. And
thank you, that adds legitimacy to it, because sometimes when you're changing it you feel like you shouldn't be changing this, but you know,
no, it's
the process of tradition. It's fine. Come in, my love, and read. Stay all night with me, and you shall have both candle and coal. My fire, 'cause 'tis 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 and you no longer sing. And you no longer sing. Where have you been all the long summer's day? Son, come tell it and to me. I was hunting and fowling the whole day long, and this mamma pardon me, oh me, and it's mamma pardon me.